The night began with a soft wind rolling across the small coastal town of Seabrook, a quiet place in the northeastern U.S. where people knew each other by name and where secrets never stayed hidden for long. Emily Parker walked quickly across the dim street with her jacket pulled tight around her waist, trying to steady her thoughts. She had spent all day at the community art center preparing for a fundraiser, and her mind was tired and tangled with things she didn't want to feel. She kept thinking about Ethan Miller, the man who had unexpectedly shaken her life in the last few weeks. He wasn't supposed to stay in Seabrook for long. He was just helping his sister with her new cafe before returning to Toronto for work. But something in his quiet smile and gentle voice had settled into Emily's heart in a way she couldn't push aside. Emily reached the porch of the Parker home, a warm house with soft yellow lights in the windows. She took a slow breath before opening the door. Inside, the familiar smell of cinnamon and fresh laundry filled the air. Her mother wasn't home yet from her late shift at the hospital, and her father was away on a weekend fishing trip. For a moment, Emily felt relieved. Silence always felt safer. She walked into the living room and dropped her bag on the old couch. The place looked exactly how she had left it that morning. But something inside her didn't feel the same. Something in her chest was shaking with thoughts of Ethan. Earlier that afternoon, he had touched her hand when she passed him a box of supplies. It was a simple touch, quick and accidental, but it had sent a warm rush through her that she couldn't explain. She wanted to believe he felt something too, yet she wasn't brave enough to ask. She turned on the lamp beside her and tried to calm her thoughts, but her mind replayed the way Ethan had looked at her when she laughed at his joke. That look, soft and focused, had made her feel seen in a way she hadn't felt in years. Emily took off her shoes and sat on the floor against the couch, wrapping her arms around her knees. She didn't want to fall for someone who would eventually leave this town behind. She had already made that mistake once 3 years ago when Lucas walked out of her life without a goodbye. She had promised herself never to trust easily again. But Ethan felt different. Before she could talk herself into or out of anything, her phone buzzed beside her. A message from Ethan appeared, simple but warm. "Did you get home safe, Emily?" She stared at the screen, her heart tightening. He didn't have to check on her, yet he did. She typed back quickly, "Yes, thank you. Are you still at the cafe?" His reply came seconds later. "I'm closing up. It's a quiet night, but it would have been nicer if you were here to keep me company." Emily pressed her lips together, a small smile forming. She didn't know what he meant exactly, but part of her wanted to believe he meant it the way she hoped. She tried to respond with something calm, something normal, but before she could finish typing, her phone buzzed again. "Can I drop by?" Her breath caught. Ethan had never come to her house before. They usually talked at the art center or the cafe. Inviting him into her space felt strangely intimate. Emily looked around the living room, suddenly aware of the mess she hadn't cleaned, but her heart was louder than her doubts. "Yes, you can," she typed, her fingers trembling slightly. Within 10 minutes, headlights appeared through the front window. Emily stood up quickly and brushed her hair behind her ears. When the knock finally came, it echoed softly but powerfully in the quiet house. She opened the door and saw Ethan standing there with a shy smile. His jacket unzipped and his hands tucked casually in his pockets. The cool air carried the faint scent of coffee from his clothes. "Hey, Emily," he said gently. She stepped back, letting him inside. "Hi, come in." Ethan looked around as he entered, his eyes warm and curious. "Your place feels cozy. You have good energy here." Emily laughed softly. "It's just home, that's all." But the way he looked at her made the word home feel heavier, sweeter. He sat on the couch while Emily sat a few feet away on the rug, close enough to feel him, but not close enough to reveal everything she felt. For a moment, the room grew quiet, the lamp casting a soft orange glow over his face. His eyes seemed deeper in the warm light, thoughtful and gentle at the same time. "I'm glad you let me come tonight," he said, leaning forward slightly. "I didn't want the day to end without seeing you again." The words hit her harder than she expected. She tried to hide her surprise, but her cheeks warmed. "I didn't think you'd want to," she whispered. "Emily," he said softly, "I always want to talk to you. You make this place feel less lonely." Her heartbeat stumbled. She didn't know how to respond. Her past fears tangled inside her, fighting with the hope Ethan stirred in her. He noticed the shift in her expression. "Are you all right?" Emily nodded slowly. "I'm just not used to this, not anymore." Ethan understood in a way that made her chest soften. He didn't push, he didn't question, he just waited. She whispered, "People leave, Ethan, they always do." He shifted closer, not touching her but close enough that she felt warmth spreading between them. "I'm not planning on hurting you, Emily." His voice was low, sincere, steady. But before Emily could answer, the sound of keys rattling outside struck her like a shock. Her breath froze. Footsteps approached the door, slow but unmistakable. Her mother was home early. Emily looked at Ethan, panic swirling in her chest, not because they were doing anything wrong, but because she wasn't ready for questions, for explanations, for her mother's too sharp instincts that always sensed everything too quickly. Ethan's eyes widened slightly as he looked toward the door, then back at Emily. "What should I do?" he whispered, but Emily didn't know either. Her heart raced. The doorknob turned. Her mother's voice floated in from outside, talking softly on the phone. Only seconds away from stepping inside and seeing Ethan sitting in their living room at night, Emily felt her world tilt. And as Ethan leaned in closer, waiting for her signal, their eyes locked with something unspoken and intense hanging fragile between them. The door began to open, and everything inside Emily's heart jumped at once. The front door opened with a soft creak as Emily's mother stepped into the house, her voice still low as she finished her phone call. Emily's breath tightened in her chest. Ethan stayed completely still on the couch, his shoulders tense but his expression calm, as if he was ready to follow whatever she needed him to do. Her mother set her bag down by the door and finally looked up. At first she didn't notice Ethan because the lamp cast more light on Emily than the couch, but when her eyes adjusted, she paused. "Emily, honey, I didn't know we had company." Her mother said gently, not upset, just surprised. Emily forced a quick smile, hoping her voice wouldn't shake. "Mom, this is Ethan. He's helping at the cafe and we were just talking." Her mother nodded politely at Ethan, who stood up right away out of respect. "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Parker," he said with calm politeness. "Nice to meet you too, Ethan," she replied, giving Emily a look that wasn't judgmental but was certainly curious. "I'll be upstairs. I'm exhausted already. You two finish up, but don't stay up too late, okay?" Emily nodded quickly. "Yes, Mom, of course." Her mother climbed the stairs and disappeared into her room, the faint sound of a door closing drifting down like a small breath of relief. Emily and Ethan both waited until the steps were gone and the hallway quieted. Then Emily let out a shaky laugh. "I thought my heart was going to stop," she whispered. Ethan's posture softened and he moved closer. "Still careful. I didn't want to cause trouble. I can leave if you want." "No," Emily said faster than she meant to. Then her cheeks warmed and she lowered her voice. "No, you don't need to leave yet." The room felt different now, quieter, more intimate, as if the brief scare had pulled them closer without either of them asking for it. Ethan sat on the floor beside her this time instead of the couch, their shoulders almost touching. Emily didn't move away, and he didn't either. There was a soft silence between them, warm and slow. "You seemed scared earlier," Ethan said gently. "Not just because she came in, but before that when we were talking." Emily looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers together. "I don't know how to let people close anymore after Lucas left. I just stopped trusting myself. I didn't want to feel stupid again." Ethan listened without interrupting, his presence steady and patient. Emily continued, her voice soft but strong. "I tried pretending it didn't matter, that I was fine alone, but the truth is when someone starts to matter again it scares me a lot." Ethan exhaled slowly, not frustrated, but almost heartbroken by how much pain she had been carrying alone. "Emily, I'm not Lucas, I'm not anyone who hurt you, and I'm not trying to rush you into anything. I just like being around you, that's all." She looked up at him, meeting his eyes under the warm glow of the lamp. His expression was open, sincere, and something inside her shifted. "Why me, Ethan?" she whispered. He smiled, a little shy, a little sad. "Because you feel real, because you laugh like it's the first time you've laughed in months, because you look at the world as if it still has a chance to surprise you, and because I feel peaceful when I'm with you." Emily blinked, surprised by the softness of his words. Before she could reply, thunder rolled outside, sudden and sharp. Rain began tapping the roof in quick, heavy drops. The storm came out of nowhere, shaking the windows with wind. Emily hugged her knees, startled. "The weather changed so fast," she said. Ethan glanced toward the window. "Looks like I'm stuck here for a bit. I can't drive in this." She nodded, but she didn't feel nervous anymore. In fact, she felt safer with him there. The storm outside grew louder, lightning flashing across the living room for a moment, making the room glow with sharp white light. Emily flinched slightly, and Ethan noticed. He leaned closer. "You don't like storms?" "They make me think something bad is coming," she admitted softly. "I've always felt that way." Ethan's voice lowered, comforting. "Sometimes storms are just storms. They don't always mean danger. Sometimes they just clear the air." His words felt deeper than the moment, as if he was talking about more than weather. Emily looked at him again, and for the first time that night, she felt something calm inside her break free. The storm rumbled above the house, but the silence between them felt warm, steady, grounding. "Do you ever wish you could start over, Ethan?" she asked suddenly. He nodded without hesitation. "More times than I can count. Moving to Toronto was supposed to be a fresh start, but I ended up feeling lost there. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere, not until I came here and met you." She swallowed gently, touched by his honesty. "I didn't think someone like you would feel that way." "Someone like me?" he repeated softly. "I mean, you seem confident, sure of yourself, like you know exactly what you're doing," she said. He laughed, a real warm laugh that made her chest flutter. "Emily, I barely know what I'm doing half the time. I just pretend so people don't worry." She smiled, realizing how similar they were. Rain hit the windows harder, the wind shaking the trees outside. Ethan looked at the stairs as if checking whether her mother might come down. But the house stayed quiet. Emily leaned her shoulder against the couch and sighed softly. "I didn't expect tonight to be like this. I didn't expect you to show up or that I'd even want you here." Ethan watched her closely. "Do you want me here now?" She felt her breath catch. "Yes, I do." The air between them warmed, almost humming with unspoken feelings. Ethan's voice dropped, gentle and cautious. "Emily, can I ask you something?" She nodded. "Yes, ask me." He hesitated as if trying to find the right words. "Are you scared of me, or are you scared of what you feel around me?" Emily froze, the question hitting right at the center of her heart. She whispered, "I'm scared of how quickly you matter to me. I'm scared of losing again. I'm scared of giving someone space in my life only for them to leave." Ethan's voice softened even more. "And what if I don't leave?" Emily's heart thumped hard, louder than the storm outside. He shifted closer, his knee brushing hers, a warm touch that made her chest tighten in a way that wasn't fear but something much deeper, something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. Their eyes met again, slow, intense, emotional. Ethan whispered, "Tell me if you want space, tell me if you want me to go upstairs and wait in the hallway. Tell me anything you need. I don't want to cross lines or make you uncomfortable." His voice was gentle and respectful, warm enough to melt her resistance but careful enough to show he valued her. Emily's voice trembled slightly. "I don't want space, I just don't know how to be brave again." "Then we'll go slow," he said. "As slow as you need." Another flash of lightning lit the room, bright and sudden, causing Emily to shift instinctively closer, her shoulder brushing his arm. Ethan didn't move away. The storm shook the windows again, louder this time, and Emily inhaled sharply. Ethan's voice dropped into a calming whisper. "I'm right here, Emily, I'm not going anywhere tonight." She felt warmth spread through her ribs, her heart softening despite the fear. She was about to respond, to tell him something she had been holding in her throat all night, when a sudden sound echoed from upstairs, a loud thump followed by the creak of footsteps approaching the staircase. Emily stiffened instantly. Ethan's eyes darted toward the sound. Someone was coming downstairs, and neither of them knew whether it was her mother or someone else. The footsteps grew louder, slow and deliberate. Emily's pulse raced again, the storm roaring outside while tension cracked inside her chest. Ethan whispered, barely audible, "Emily, who's that coming down?" She didn't know, but her heart pounded with the same fear and hope all tangled together. Just as the shadow appeared at the top of the staircase, the lights flickered from the storm, throwing the house into a trembling, dim glow. Emily grabbed Ethan's arm without thinking, and the figure stepped onto the first stair. The shadow on the staircase moved slowly as the lights flickered again. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Ethan froze beside her. The storm outside rattled the windows as rain fell in heavy waves, the whole house feeling tense and alive. A moment later, the shadow became clear. It was her mother, wrapped in a robe, her hair slightly messy from lying down. She blinked toward the living room, confused by the dim lighting and the storm shaking the house. "Emily, are you all right?" her mother asked with a tired voice. "I heard something, sounded like something fell." Emily exhaled quietly, relief washing through her. "I'm okay, Mom, the storm just scared me. We were talking and the lights flickered." Her mother nodded and rubbed her forehead. "All right, sweetie, I just wanted to check. This storm is getting loud, but you two try to get some rest when you can." She walked back upstairs, her steps slower now, leaving the house quiet again except for the storm's roar. Emily dropped her head for a second, steadying her breathing. "I thought it was something worse," she whispered. Ethan touched her arm gently, offering comfort with the smallest movement. "It's okay, she didn't seem upset." Emily nodded, though the tension still lingered in her chest. She wasn't used to moments that felt fragile and comforting at the same time. Moments where she didn't know what might break but didn't want to let go. She sank back onto the rug and Ethan followed, sitting close. The storm dimmed a little, turning into a steady rhythm that echoed through the house like a slow heartbeat. Emily, Ethan said softly. When you grabbed my arm just now, you looked terrified, but also like you trusted me, even for a second. She stared at the floor, her fingers trembling gently. I didn't want to be alone in that moment. I didn't want to feel like I always do whenever things get scary. I wanted someone next to me, I guess. You can want that, Ethan said. You can want someone next to you without feeling wrong or weak. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the warmth of his voice wrap around her. It's just hard for me, letting someone close without waiting for them to walk away. Ethan shifted until he was facing her fully, his voice low and sincere. I'm not asking for everything tonight, Emily. I'm not asking for answers you're not ready to give. I just want to understand you, that's all. Emily finally looked at him, her eyes glistening in the soft light. You already understand me more than most people. I care, he said simply. The words were small, but they felt enormous inside her chest. The storm outside softened little by little, as if giving them space, giving the moment room to breathe. Emily leaned her back against the couch, her thoughts spinning, her emotions tangled in ways she didn't know how to untie. But being beside Ethan didn't feel heavy or dangerous. It felt strangely right, even if she couldn't explain why. I don't want to lose myself again, she whispered. I did that once and it took me forever to feel like a real person after. You won't lose yourself with me, Ethan said gently. I'm not here to take pieces from you. I'm here because something about you makes me want to stay, even if it scares me too. Emily blinked in surprise. It scares you too? Ethan nodded, his eyes soft. I didn't plan to care about anyone in this town. I thought this place would just be a quick stop for me, something temporary. But then I met you and everything changed. I'm scared of feeling so much so fast, but I'm still here. She swallowed, the honesty hitting her deeply. I didn't know you felt that strongly, she said. I do, he whispered. A soft silence settled again, warm and delicate. Emily hugged her knees loosely, watching the window as the rain slid down in long streaks. When I first saw you at the cafe, I didn't think you'd even remember my name, she admitted quietly. Ethan smiled to himself. I remembered everything about you from the first day. The way you laughed nervously when you ordered your drink, how you tried to hide your paint on your hands, and how you looked at the world like you were expecting something beautiful to appear if you waited long enough. Emily felt her cheeks warm. I didn't know you were paying attention. I was, he said softly. The storm continued humming in the background, but inside the living room it felt peaceful, calm, almost like the eye of the storm had found them and decided to rest there. Emily shifted slightly, her shoulder brushing his arm. She didn't move away. Ethan looked down at her hand, hesitating for a second, then lifted his eyes to hers, silently asking for permission to be closer. Emily breathed in slowly, then nodded, unable to find words. He moved just a little closer. Enough that their arms touched, but not enough to make her feel overwhelmed. It was gentle, comforting, and strangely grounding. Emily whispered. Why does being near you feel so easy and so hard at the same time? Ethan let out a soft breath. Because you're fighting your fear and your feelings at the same time, and both matter. She leaned her head back and closed her eyes for a moment. I wish my heart didn't get confused so fast. It's not confusion, he said. It's recognition. Sometimes you meet someone and something in you says this matters, even if you don't know how yet. Emily opened her eyes and stared at him, her voice faint. Does it matter to you? His answer came without hesitation. Yes, more than I expected. Her heartbeat fluttered, a warm ache spreading through her chest. The storm outside began to calm even more, turning into a soft rain that tapped gently against the windows. The house felt warmer, the air softer, almost like the world around them was settling down at last. Emily looked at him again, the quiet intensity in his gaze making her chest tighten in the gentlest way. Ethan, what happens next? She asked, her voice fragile but brave. He smiled softly. Whatever you want to happen next, slowly, carefully, one breath at a time. She nodded, feeling tears gather behind her eyes. I don't know what I want yet, but I know I don't want you to leave tonight. I'm not leaving, he whispered. Emily exhaled shakily, relief and fear blending together. They sat there in silence for a moment, letting the weight of the night settle, letting the storm outside fade into a calm rhythm. After a while, Emily spoke again. When the lights flickered earlier, it felt like everything might fall apart, but then you were right next to me. I felt safe even in the chaos. That's all I want, Ethan said. To be someone who doesn't add chaos but eases it. She stared at him, her voice trembling with truth. You do ease it, Ethan, you really do. He breathed out slowly, letting her words sink in. A soft warmth filled the room, the kind of warmth that didn't need explanation or rush, the kind that came from two people finally admitting the things they were afraid to say out loud. The house grew still, quiet, peaceful. Emily leaned her head gently onto his shoulder, her breath soft, her emotions open and unguarded for the first time in years. Ethan didn't move for a moment, surprised, touched. Then he relaxed and leaned his head lightly against hers. The storm faded into nothing more than a distant whisper. Emily whispered gently, "Maybe starting over doesn't mean forgetting the past. Maybe it just means letting someone stay long enough to build something new." Ethan nodded. "We can build slowly. Whatever it becomes, we'll figure it out together." Emily closed her eyes, letting the moment wrap around her. No fear, no rushing, just warmth and a quiet promise growing between them. The night, once heavy with fear and uncertainty, now felt soft, hopeful, alive in a different way. Ethan whispered, "Emily, no matter where this leads, I'm here for as long as you want me." She smiled against his shoulder, her voice barely a breath. "I want you here." "Ethan, maybe more than I should, but I do." He smiled softly. "Then that's enough for tonight." The rain outside slowed to a gentle drizzle, the world finally settling after the storm. Emily rested against him, letting her guard fall piece by piece, knowing that healing didn't happen in a single night, but beginnings did, and tonight felt like a beginning, a quiet, fragile, beautiful beginning. Wrapped in the soft glow of the lamp and the fading echoes of the storm, two hearts finally stopped, running from themselves and from each other. And for the first time in a long time, Emily didn't feel alone. She felt chosen, she felt seen, she felt new.